Hey everyone, my name is Brennan, I hope your day's been going good, and Kirby's Return to Dreamland turns 10 years old this year. I was like a fetus when this game came out, what the f*** happened? Man, who knew waking up this morning and checking the calendar would result in an existential crisis? October 24th, 2011. 10 whole years ago. Yeah, Brennan, we get it. You can count. Good for you. Well, guess what? So can everyone else. 1, 2, 7, monkey ball, 39. I've always had a huge fondness for the Kirby games, and one of the main reasons for that is because I grew up with the franchise. Well, 2 of the games in the franchise specifically. The first of these was the original Kirby's Dreamland on the Game Boy. I was too young to have a Game Boy myself, so I'd always play my older brothers, and I guess on one of those days I happened to stumble upon Kirby's Dreamland and its collection of games, because look where I am now. I would play this thing all the time, at home, on car rides, and at family events like any self-respecting 5-year-old would. I even had this one oddly specific memory from when the power went out and I played Kirby since the GameCube didn't work. Well, at least until it got dark outside, that is. Curse the non-backlit screen of the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Point is, I loved Kirby, and for the longest time, this one game was my only exposure to him, since at this age, I never really kept up with new game releases or hunted them out unless I got them as a gift. Which is exactly what happened one fateful Christmas in 2011, when I got Kirby's Return to Dreamland for the Wii. I swear dude, this game felt like it was marketed towards me specifically. I started out by first playing Kirby's Dreamland, and now, years later, I'm finally returning to it. This was nothing short of a sign from the Nintendo gods. I was meant to play this game. Come on, Nintendo, I know you guys have a hidden camera or microphone in here somewhere, because ain't no way that was a coincidence.
What's wrong with you?
Original Nintendo's living in my world! It was so cool seeing how Kirby had changed and evolved in the years since the original Dreamland. I mean, I'd probably seen promotional art at stores and stuff, so I'd gotten a general sense of what he looks like at least. I also knew about his copy abilities from playing Melee on the GameCube as well. What I'm talking more about here is a general sense of how the gameplay had evolved, although seeing the new art was pretty cool too. In terms of actual gameplay, it was still fairly similar to the original. Same floats, puffs of air, some familiar enemies, but now with copy abilities, great graphics, and just a brand new Kirby adventure for me to experience. Needless to say, I was excited for the game. Years before being reunited with the Pink Puff though is where development actually got started on the game, and no, I'm not talking about on the Wii. This game might have been released during the latter half of the Wii's lifespan, but the history of this game's development goes all the way back to the GameCube. Following up on 2003's Kirby Air Ride, we were originally supposed to get a brand new mainline Kirby game for the GameCube. Obviously, that didn't happen, because if it did, then I would have a new piece of plastic on my shelf and we wouldn't be here talking about this right now. The first time we'd see this new game would be at E3 2005. There's not really too much to say about it other than it looked pretty good for the next Kirby game. Nothing crazy, nothing trying to set the world on fire, just another solid Kirby game. Eventually, as you probably would have guessed, this game was scrapped and development shifted over towards new ideas. After this initial cancellation, there would actually be another 2 Kirby games to start development and eventually get scrapped as well. Less is known about these 2 in comparison to the first one, but from what information we have, they actually seemed pretty cool. The first of these would have been the first fully 3D Kirby game, but Nintendo wasn't entirely satisfied with the quality, so much like the first game, it too was scrapped. The last of these games was a more traditional looking 2D Kirby game, but this time in a really nice looking pop-up book art style. While there would be Kirby games of more creative and unique art styles later down the line, like Epic Yarn and Rainbow Curse, we would never see anything come of this idea or art style again. Now with these other 2 games, it's pretty clear which projects they went on to inspire. The 3D Kirby game here looks almost identical to that of Kirby 3D Rumble, the Planet Robobot side game later turned eShop release in the form of Kirby's Blow Up Blast. This gave us not only a taste of what the original GameCube game would have been like, but what a 3D Kirby game could be like in general. An idea we wouldn't see come up again until Spring 2022! Let's get that hype train moving, gamers! Woo! As for the original Kirby on GameCube, the ideas shown in this trailer can easily be linked back to Kirby's Return to Dreamland, as well as Star Allies. On the front of Star Allies, mechanics like turning enemies into your allies and other players being able to play as them was the main new gimmick for the game, which originally came from the scrapped game on the GameCube. The secret boss fight from Kirby Star Allies' guest star mode, Morpho Knight, was also originally supposed to be in the GameCube game. As for Return to Dreamland, the similarities start becoming even more pronounced with specific characters, enemies and bosses, and stages. All these cancellations and different ideas, though, would finally lead us to 2011 and the release of Kirby's Return to Dreamland. So, I think we've waited long enough to play this. Let's start up the game and let the nostalgia trip begin. Fuck yeah. So, the game opens on the gang all hanging out. Meta Knight's reading a book, and Kirby's running with the strawberry shortcake with King Dedede and Bandanity close behind. Wait a sec. Wait, Bandanity? Oh, hold up! Oh, we're f***ing gaming now. All of a sudden though, a massive portal opens up in the sky and a huge ship comes sailing through it. As it's coming through, you can see that it's extremely damaged with a bunch of its parts flying off in all directions. Eventually the ship itself crashes and the gang goes to investigate. They head inside the mysterious ship and see... I like this guy. This is Magolor, and this is his ship. It's destroyed, could you tell? Like Olimar. A la Magolor, I mean Magomar, I mean Magolor, tells Kirby and crew that his main 5 ship parts, as well as 120 energy spheres, have been scattered across Dreamland, leaving his ship almost completely unoperational. Being the good Samaritans they are, Cream Puff, Lard Penguin, Diet Dracula, and God agree to go retrieve these parts and fix Magolor's ship, thus starting our adventure. Alright, time to repair our ship. Wrong game. Okay, in all seriousness though, we have the option to go either visit Magolor at his ship, the Lord Starcutter, or travel to the first area in the game, Holy shit. This is the first time I've heard this song since I originally played through the game a decade ago. And to say it hit me hard would be putting it lightly. The song is this mix of calming and comforting, which I know is large in part because I have so much nostalgia towards the game. Hearing this song brought back so many great memories from playing this during my childhood. I will admit, I started tearing up. Judge me if you want. I don't care, just let me enjoy the happy Kirby game. Moving on! Like I was saying before the floodgates opened, our first area in the game is Cookie Country, this game's Green's equivalent. So, we've delayed enough, time to finally play this game. It's been too damn long, oh my god, it's just as good as I remember. The background art is so pretty, the music is phenomenal, it's the same fun Kirby game I remembered. You know what, I think I'm just gonna wear this for the rest of the playthrough. Looking at it, the gameplay is exactly like you'd expect it to. It's another 2D Kirby game, it ain't all too complicated. Like, I'd be surprised if someone booted up the game and was like, what the f do I do? You got your slide move, iconic Kirby float ability, and being able to suck up and shoot out enemies and objects. You also have the copy abilities, which basically just mean that if you suck up and swallow certain enemies, you obtain whatever powers they had before you violently inhaled them. Kirby's Return to Dreamland introduced quite a few new copy abilities to the series. The first of these is Water. Wonder how they came up with this one. Guys, get in here, I have an idea. This ability allows Kirby to spit out water in various ways, surf over water, put out flames, have a geyser come out from his head, and have an enhanced attack underwater. Next up we have Tornado. Welcome to Kansas, motherfucker. With Tornado, you can become a tornado, shake the Wii remote to become a bigger tornado. That's a fun copy ability. Whip, for if you've been watching a bit too much Indiana Jones, you can use the whip to attack as expected, but the whip can also be used to grab objects and enemies through walls. It's pretty cool. After that is Leaf. The ideas just keep coming! With Leaf, you can throw around some leaves and hide in a bush. Probably my least favorite of the new copy abilities, but to be nice, I'll just say it's neat. The last new copy ability added was Spear. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Spear. You can throw spears, use a rapid jab attack, become a f***ing helicopter, but I see this and ask myself, why would I play as off-brand God when I can play as the real deal? On top of these copy abilities, the game also adds in these other items: Kirby Cannon, Band Kid, Geology, Locksmith, Bigger Boot, Run, and Candle. These items are here to change up gameplay every once in a while and are usually designated to their own sections in which the level is specifically designed around them. But these aren't the only new abilities Kirby has in this game. Looking at the box art, one might wonder, how did Kirby get the big sword? Well, walk up to the glowing enemy, inhale, swallow, and... yeah, that's right, Kirby's got a weapon of mass destruction, and he's f***ing pissed. This is called the Ultra Sword. One power-up is part of a new type of copy ability in this game called Super Abilities. As the name implies, these abilities are like normal copy abilities, but souped up to hell. Inhaling one of these special glowing enemies will give you one of these new super abilities, followed up by a section of the level designed around the power-up. And can I just say, these power-ups make Kirby feel badass, even more so than usual. Laid out ahead of you, you'll see these enemies and obstacles with a glowing star pattern on them. And seeing these can mean only one thing: pull out the sword. These sections have the player using their super ability to do one of two things: solve puzzles using a specific ability, or go apeshit. These glowing enemies and obstacles are completely destructible and can be absolutely decimated by your super ability. Sometimes it's as simple as swing the sword at the ground, or swing the sword at the rope, and other times you have to time your attacks just right or use your ability in a specific way to make your way to the end of the section. As simple as the idea of super copy abilities is, they're implemented pretty well into this game. While not as creative or in-depth as something, say, like the mech suit's inclusion in Planet Robobot, it's still super fun to play around with. There are 5 of these abilities throughout the game in total. The first of these is the one just shown, the Ultra Sword super ability. Using such weapons as sword, cutlass, butcher's knife... Wait, Kirby, what kind of meat are you cutting up with that? After this, we're introduced to the fire super ability called the Monster Flame. Using it summons massive bursts of flame to shoot from one side of the screen to the other, destroying everything it collides with. These could range from enemies, giant squids, these tiki things, and an entire forest. No, Smokey, I'm sorry, I mean it! Next up is the Flare Beam, a massive ball of energy that you can move around the screen to either destroy enemies and obstacles, or activate electrical switches to solve a puzzle. Following that up is the Snowball, where by shaking the Wii Remote, Kirby becomes a giant massive ball of snow that can roll through the stage at high speed, destroying everything in its path. There's a reason no one's ever seen Santa, and it's because he lives in fear of being barreled over by a massive ball of Kirby snow. The final super ability in this game is the Grand Hammer. Using it summons a massive hammer to slam down on anything beneath Kirby. This could range from enemies to specific switches or stakes. By shaking the Wii Remote with different amounts of rage during the swinging animation, it causes the hammer to be a different size with different amounts of force, which can be used to solve specific puzzles. Once you near the end of one of these super ability sections, a portal will open up to another dimension, leading to a special challenge area. During the first part of these challenge areas is a chase sequence where you have to outrun this purple cosmic wall and make it to the end of the section. If you get consumed by the wall, then you die and are back out of the portal. You're still able to go back in and attempt it as many times as you want though. If you do successfully make it to the end though, you're squared up against a unique enemy called a Sphere Doomer. These flying goobers that look like they're made of the goop in Mario Sunshine have a variety of different attacks that they can use against Kirby, throwing out these death blobs, dive bombing and charging attacks, and going between the background and foreground. The arenas you fight in also change up depending on which stage it is. Beating one of these guys causes them to release 2 energy spheres, those objects dropped by Megalor's ship from before. These are the game's main collectibles, which are found in each stage, ranging from 3 to 5 for each level. Collecting these energy spheres unlocks different challenge stages, minigames, and ability rooms. The challenge stages are short-timed obstacle courses centered around a specific power-up, the minigames are some fun little distractions revolving around the Wii's motion controls, and the ability rooms are just that, rooms where you can test out all of the different copy abilities unlocked during the game. Starting off on Planet Popstar, the game has 5 different areas. The first of these is Cookie Country, the greens equivalent I mentioned before, and it's got pretty much everything you'd expect. Lush environments, beautiful backgrounds, Waddle Dees, huge forests, and massive sentient trees that you can brutally destroy. Okay, I think we're safe. After that's Raisin Ruins. There's a desert, there's ruins, it's made of raisins apparently. Doesn't seem like a very structurally sound idea, both literally and figuratively, but hey, who am I to judge? I'm sure it's completely fine.
This place structure's collapsing, we gotta go!
Next up is Onion Ocean. Despite what the name Onion Ocean might imply, this is actually one of the most relaxing areas in the game. Not to mention that the music in this area is all just super chill tropical themes. Makes me want to just sit back and watch Kirby chill out on the screen while the music plays in the background. Following up on Onion Ocean is White Wafers, a snowy wonderland of sorts.
I'm dreaming of a white forever, playing the game I used to know, where the spear tops glisten and the wallaboos listen to hear Super Saiyan Monkey Daddy in the snow. Oh no!
The last of these 5 areas is Nutty Noon.
You could sure as hell say that!
The aesthetic that this area has going on is a mix between flying around in the clouds and running through this tower fortress-like structure. Kinda reminds me of bubbly clouds from the original Kirby's Dreamland. Also, unrelated, but whenever I think of this area, my mind always goes to the ninjas that show up in stage 2. Maybe I just thought these guys were really cool as a kid and that's why it stuck with me? I don't know, could be, since even now looking at them, they're pretty darn cool and have a great copy ability that goes with them.
Yo, listen, I like Call of Duty, but this shit's badass.
These areas each have 5 traditional stages within them and a final boss stage to finish things out. Fuel for my bonfire, the worst magic show I've ever seen, the Great Fiend's distant cousin, Rudolph movie reject, and... oh, I guess that's it. I guess there's no boss here.
Oh shit, oh no, oh my god, this thing's fast!
Hey Ma, can you come pick me up? I think I just pissed myself from fear. No, it wasn't the plant game this time. This is what we in the industry call the Grand Doomer. And I mean only people in the industry are calling him that. If you're not in the industry and you're saying that, shut your f***ing mouth. The Grand Doomer is essentially if you just took a Sphere Doomer, but turned things up to 11. Dive attacks, bigger death blobs, and continuously going between the background and foreground. Once you get the boss low enough, something different happens compared to the other bosses. The Grand Doomer's health bar changes and now has a star pattern on it. You know what that means. A couple enemies will appear in the arena, one of which is a glowing super ability variant. Suck them up and go to town. With the Grand Doomer down, we now have everything we need to repair Magolor's ship. We fly through a portal back to Magolor's homeworld of Halkandra and are immediately shot down by a 4-headed dragon.
That son of a bitch!
Magolor tells us that this dragon's name is Landia and was previously asleep for ages, but just recently woke and went on a rampage, which is what caused the damage to Magolor's ship. Being the good Samaritans they are, Cream Puff, Lard Penguin, Dyed Dracula, and God agree to once again help out Magolor. This leads us to the last 2 areas of the game, Egg Engine and Dangerous Dinner. So, we fight our way through Egg Engine, beat up a puny robot that totally won't turn red and come back to bite me in the ass later, and then move on to Dangerous Dinner. Oh, and can I just say that I love the music used in Dangerous Dinner's stage select? I mean, I love this entire game's soundtrack, but I really like what they did here with the main theme of the game and using it in such an intense atmosphere. It's great. As for the stages themselves, I think this is a really cool way to end things off. There are only 4 stages here compared to the usual 6, but considering how each of these levels themselves go down, I'm completely fine with that. The first one's based on the Snowball, the second one on the Grand Hammer, and the last one on the Ultra Sword. This leaves us with the last stage of the game, the final showdown against Landia. Even though it was 10 years ago, I can still remember fighting them for the first time. The fight being inside of this volcano was so atmospheric, and I thought it was cool how during the second phase of the fight, Landia splits into 4. I was playing the game with a couple of my cousins, and we just kept getting our asses handed to us over and over again by this boss. So I'm wondering if it'll still be that hard this time. Get dunked on, bitch! That was pretty easy. Oh, and hey, here's Magolor coming to thank us for taking down Landia. Two-timing son of a bitch! Using the power of the Master Crown, Magolor vows to conquer the entire universe. Daring today, aren't we? Starting with Kirby's home planet of Popstar. As the group looks on in shock because this dingus just took advantage of a couple good Samaritans, Landia walks up from behind them. To the gang's surprise, they're actually willing to help Kirby and Co. follow after Magolor and get the Master Crown back, leading us to the true final area of the game, another dimension. This area is in a shoot-'em-up style, and it is so damn fun. I'd honestly be fine with HAL releasing an entire game just based on this section alone. That's how much I love it. Not to mention that the music is my favorite track in the whole game, and a fantastic one for getting the player pumped up. Oh man, we got a banger on our hands! Whenever I hear this song, I just think of me and my 2 cousins. A Bandana D, a Meta Knight, and a Kirby flying their way through another dimension atop a couple Landias in order to get to Magolor and save the universe. Gives me a sense of nostalgic triumph hearing this song. Eventually, you'll make your way to the end of the shmup section, where you're tasked with taking down Magolor's ship, the Lore Starcutter, and one of the most fun shmup bosses I've ever had the pleasure of playing in. We've come a long way since Kabula's boss fight on the Game Boy. We take down the Lore, and all that's left ahead of us is the final fight against Magolor. He shoots down everyone on top of Landia, so we'll be forced to fight him alone on foot. So, let's head in there, and let's make 7-year-old me proud. Alright, I've waited too long for this reunion, so show me what you got, Magolor. It's too strong! There couldn't be a more perfect boss theme to go out on. It's just the right mix of being intense, triumphant, and an absolute banger all at the same time. You'll notice that Magolor shares some similar attacks with the Spear Doomers, which is a really nice touch that I like. He obviously has some of his own moves that he can use against Kirby as well though. Dodge some death blobs, spikes, giant lasers, and Doctor Strange looking spellcasting to bring his health down. Once he's low enough, just like the Grand Doomer, stars will appear on his health bar, making him vulnerable exclusively to super attacks. Suck up some glowy guys, use a couple anti-tree flares, balls of electricity, and the most badass sword swing you've ever seen to finish him off. That is when the Master Crown completely corrupts Magolor, giving us another fight against the Crown itself, with even more cinematic boss music than before. This song is called Crowned, and... wait a second. Crowned? Cookie Country, Raisin Ruins, Onion Ocean, wait. How you sneaky SOBs, I love you. What I'll refer to as the Crown Soul begins attacking Kirby by traveling through portals, covering the screen in a deadly outline, and even donning some super ability moves of its own. Wait, hold on. Is that f***ing dark matter? You know, like the recurring species appearing as villains in boss fights throughout the series? That dark matter? You know, I didn't think Hell could make this fight any cooler, but they always seem to find a way with things like this. Once Magolor / the Crown / Dark Matter is finally defeated, Magolor is restored to normal, the Crown is destroyed, and the gang returns home with the help of Landia and the Lore. Also, apparently the Lore was sentient, was forcibly being controlled by Magolor after he excavated it from the volcano where Landia was. Alright, that aside, the gang all makes it back safely to Popstar, Kirby, Bandana D, Meta Knight, and Dedede say farewell to the Landia and the Lore, and the credits begin to play for this absolutely beautiful game. 10 years ago, I got to play through this fantastic experience. 10 years ago, I got to share that experience with 2 of my cousins. 10 years ago, I truly became a Kirby fan. It's hard to believe that it's already been so long, so I thought I'd try and celebrate in the best way I could think of. Play through the game for the first time since I did originally, and share my love for this game with as many people as possible. Happy 10-year anniversary, Kirby's Return to Dreamland. It's been a hell of a ride. But who said we're done yet? We've got multiplayer mini-games to play, but not just any multiplayer mini-games, multiplayer mini-games alone. The main game of Return to Dreamland didn't really use the Wii's motion controls all too much, and most of its use comes out of these 2 mini-games. First up is the Ninja Dojo minigame. Use the Wiimote like you're using a throwing star. The goal is to hit the middle of the target and be as accurate as possible with each throw. After that, Scope Shot, which has always been my favorite of the 2 minigames. You use a laser rifle to break apart a massive robot piece by piece while also trying not to get hit by anything yourself. You can even put the Wii remote inside of the Wii Zapper for some extra immersion. After beating the game, you also gain access to the sound test where you can listen to music and sound effects, as well as being able to play in a mode called the Arena. My boy! The real meat and potatoes of post-game content, though, comes from the Extra mode, which is a more difficult version of the main game. Alright, you know what? You might have beat me last year, Kirby Hard Mode, but not this time. I'm stronger than I was before. I'm faster than I was before. I'd also say wiser, but then at that point, I'd be lying. I have the will to make it all the way through, and nothing will stop me. Let's do this. Alright, just a tiny little red robot boy, nothing I can't handle. And look at that, he's already down. Didn't even break a sweat. Why does something so cool have to be so adept at kicking my ass? Alright, there we go. Jeez, man. Alright, at least all we have left is Dangerous Dinner to finish, and then we should be done. Who knew Landia's fire breathing was 4D? It's all good though. Next up is the shmup section with Landia, which is pretty fun, so that shouldn't really be a problem. That just leaves us with... Mom did always say that concept art would be the death of me. Damn it. Alright, we did it! Magolor's dead, Dreamland saved, hard mode's beaten. Man, I feel like I just got a year-long weight lifted off my chest. I feel like I can do anything now! Even this, right? I really gotta start fireproofing this basement. As hellish as fighting Galactonite and enduring hard mode might have been... Dude, I just got to play through one of my favorite games of all time. I have so many great memories with it, and getting to come back to it felt amazing. It was just as fun and magical as I remembered it being. From the music, the atmosphere, the bosses, all of it. This game will forever hold a special place in my heart. The decade-long wait to replay this game was worth it, just so I could get to experience it all over again, just like 7-year-old me did nearly 10 years ago. And the best part of it all? I got to see my boy again!